It's Saturday, July 31st, 2027. The Chicago White Sox are 63 and 42, a half game out of the AL Central. We were just leading before we lost this game to the Cleveland Guardians 2 to 3. But this season has been full of a lot of ups and downs, and for a moment I thought we wouldn't even be in a position to make the playoffs this season. But I think I'm fairly confident we will, having the number one slot in the wild card. But if last year has taught me anything, and it taught me a few things which will be implemented in this video, it's not to count on midseason performance. So we're 62 and 43 in the Pythag. If you look at our first 2 months in April and May, we were absolutely terrible for our standards, close to a 500 team, under 500, and for a minute I think we were close to 10 games under 500, close to like 55 games in the year. Now, a lot of that had to do with some lineup trouble that has extended into now. Carlos Pena and Alex Bregman, at least Pena has heated up a little bit in recent months. At the start of the year, he was below average, but now he's an all-star like we like him to be. He didn't make the all-star game this season, but I think he's still good enough, and he'll continue to be successful. But Alex Bregman has been bad all year, unfortunately. He's gotten a bit better in the last 2 months, but need better production from him, especially with these ratings. Ryan McMahon has also played poorly. He's a good fielder still, but the bat has fallen off. Does have a very low BABIP, which is why I'm inclined to keep him around and based off his previous track record. And he's still happy to be here. He's a leader. And so I think what I learned from last season was I messed with, I think, the chemistry of the club too much in that trade deadline, adding 3 different pitchers and a couple hitters. It was just too much. And so now, with how we are constructed, I might just skip the trade deadline. Now, I know those are the opposite of two extremes, but I don't know if we have a pressing need that needs to be filled with what is on the market. And I'll show you that in a minute, but here we'll go through the rest of the lineup. Oscar Colas is having the best season of his career already. 5 WAR, 167 WRC+. He's fielding really well in right field, might win the Gold Glove. His frustrations continue as a guy who just can't pick what kind of player he wants to be. Is he an offensive-only guy? Is he a defensive-only guy like he was in 2024? A lot of his value was derived from his fielding. Now he's the best of both worlds. Will challenge for MVP. He is third in WAR behind Wander Franco and Byron Buxton, who both play premium positions. But Colas has a shot at it just because he's hitting so well. He's on track for 40 bombs, 35 doubles, walking in 11% of his plate appearances, which is the best of his career so far. Cut down on the strikeouts about 5%. The BABIP is high, but it's on track with what he did in his better season. So very happy about Colas. Very happy about Luis Robert, who got off to a slow start to begin the year, slower than we know him to do. But this past month has heated up, and is a guy that we'd love to keep around. Didn't sign him to a long-term extension. This is what he wants now. We'll give him the qualifying offer, but he might leave us in free agency. And it seems like we're playing like a small market these days with how many of our best players are leaving, although I do think that they were the better decisions to let them go. Carlos Correa, who was really bad to start the year with the bat, 18 WRC+ in March here and 18 plate appearances, 72 in April, 88 in June, but sandwiching between that month of June, 2 great months. All I need him to do is hit above average and field the way he does, and he's doing that. Great addition to the club is Correa. Maui Ahuna has not built on his greatness from last year as much. He's been hurt. He had a couple down months in between some up months. But I'm still very happy about Ahuna's progression as an everyday second baseman, which is hard to come across in this game as a guy who can hit and field. Got a great spot in the lineup for him. Yordis Valdez is the same way, although he's more of a utility guy at this point. He came up to play second after Ahuna's injury. And what was that injury again? It wasn't too severe. It was an oblique strain for 2 weeks for Ahuna. Valdez came up, fielded well. He's our super utility guy in the infield. He can play second, third, and short really well. He's not hitting above average, but the glove is there. and that's giving him a lot of value. Happy about Valdez, especially as a 70 potential guy to get in a throwaway trade. Really, we talked about Pena. He's still on pace for 25 homers, and I think this will pick up as his BABIP was low as well. And as his BABIP picks up to the 300s, I think he'll start to get hot at the right time. Ronald Hernandez had a really great start to the year. Or actually, he didn't. I guess it was some inflated. His OPS plus has been up and down throughout the year. He's got hot and cold stretches, but I'm still happy with him at catcher. He's a good framer, average hitter. What more can you ask for? He's now fragile, which I don't actually know why. Or I guess he's had 2 sprained knees as moderate injuries. I didn't even get notified for that. Unfortunate. Or was that? That was last year he had a sprained knee. And this year he just had a sprained knee for 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. Now he's fragile. Jimmy Crooks has been a bit worse with the bat recently. The framing won't ever be there with his catcher ability, but I need him to play better in July. I don't need a negative 22 OPS plus after 2 really good months to start the season. And he's splitting time with Hernandez. But I don't really see a catcher on the market. I mean, I could go after Garver again, and it's really unfortunate that Carson Kelly, who was signed on a minor league deal by the Pirates, or actually by the Rangers, he just got traded to the Pirates, was an all-star this season. So that sucks. We missed out on trading for him, and we missed out on having him be an all-star for us on a $2 million contract. So that's a swing and a miss by me. We still have 2 decent catchers, but yeah, I'd like them to be better. Esteban Gonzalez has been up with an injury he was up earlier, but now he's up because he succeeded in a spot where Terrell Tatum was struggling. Tatum, 88 WRC plus in left field for us and quite a bit of playing time. He was a positive fielder there, but I needed a bat. So I call up Gonzalez. He's been good and was really excelling in AAA, so he might just be the left fielder for the rest of the year. Mac Horvath is our captain, so I don't want to release him and send him back to, I believe, the Athletics organization. Diamondbacks organization is where we got him from. So we're going to keep him around. He has this positional versatility, a righty bat that hasn't really excelled against lefty pitching, but I think he'll just get better as the year goes on. He's 26. I need a captain. He's only hitting 250 on balls in play against lefties. We talked about Bregman. Cole Carrig has not played often for us, but he's been a defensive substitution in a lot of scenarios. Isn't a great fielder anywhere, but can play anywhere. He's just a solid utility option for us and has been hitting his weight when he gets into the game, which is all you really need from a super utility guy. Saves us a couple roster spots for bats. And then pitching-wise, Sandy Alcantara is back to being Cy Young caliber, makes the All-Star game for us, is on track for 5 WAR, an ERA around 3. This is what we wanted last year, but we had to wait a year to get it. He is who he is. I mean, he's just a great player and has been for the past few seasons. Happy to have him. Logan Webb is getting some bad BABIP luck. His FIP is lower than his ERA. He's not like a stellar pitcher this year, but he's a quality starter. And I think as the season goes on, his results will be more in line with his ratings and his underlying stats. Alex Lang is still our closer, on track for 52 saves. He has been a great trade addition for us. We traded him for Ben Norman, who is this guy right now in the Canadian Independent League. So very happy about Lang. Got him for cents on the dollar. Jesus Luzardo has kind of been the inverse of Webb. His FIP is a bit higher than his ERA, but he's performed well, and I'm very happy about this signing, just providing us really quality innings as the third starter. Jonathan Seaver is up in the rotation after I took Fernando Romero out, just like I said. FIP higher than the ERA. I think like he's a guy that outperforms his batted ball numbers. The BABIP is very low as compared to last year, but this is like 2.5, or I guess a season and a half of like just outperforming his FIP. And so I'm happy to keep him around as long as he does that. And if not, he can move to the bullpen. And we have Mania, who's struggled, but we have other guys who can step up. Noah Denoyer, put Romero back in the rotation. Thomas White has made his major league debut with us. Number 47 prospect in baseball, 2026 supplemental first-round pick. He's been okay as the fifth starter. And if there's anything I'd like to trade for, it's a guy to replace him. But there's nothing really that's like speaking to me from a starting pitcher perspective. I don't know why that's showing up. But if I look at like R-War, Manaea, Sears, there's guys. I'll look into it. Haney is a guy that I thought about acquiring. We can get him for nothing. So I think one of these lefties, if we're going to trade for anybody, it'll be for Manaea or Haney. Haney I can get for nothing, really. And then Manaea I can get for nothing. So I'll just have to dive into those two players and pick one of them up. Chances are they'll be in the rotation. Replacing White, I don't know. Henches has been spectacular. Makes the All-Star game. Do I have him on a short list? Okay. Makes the All-Star game. He's very happy to be here. The FIP is way higher than his .86 ERA. One of the best result getters in the league right now as a ground ball pitcher. He's been wonderful for us. Talked about Mania. Alberto Mota is back up in the bullpen, and he's actually pitching well this year. Happy to have him. Luke Jackson, pitching great for what we got him for. So like I said, I don't really want to jumble this up all too much. We do have Noah Denoyer, but these ratings are great, and he's 29. He's actually made his major league debut this year with us, and in only 9 2/3 innings, he's got a 1.86 ERA, much lower than his FIP, but I think these ratings are good. We claimed him off of waivers from Baltimore. I think he's a piece for us for the future, just because he's under team control for so long. Andrew Abbott has been a great lefty long man for us. Great results from him. And Fernando Romero, I might look into trade him, but just to keep him around right now, he's still a valuable guy to have, I guess. I don't know. I have him in the bullpen after he struggled as a starter, but I might be able to look to get off him and maybe send him away for somebody, I guess. The Mariners really want him. I'll look into that. I'll look into what the Mariners can give us for Trey Turner's on the Rays. Why would they trade for him? And then you give up Calvin Fauché and Carson Starnes? Why? How much is retained? Should be 100%. Okay, the Phillies took on 100% of the deal. But he still stinks. Anyways. Stanton Luthner. I'll look into Romero, I think, at this point, seeing what I can get. So maybe I'm not standing pat, but I'm not going to make as many moves as I did last year. I don't know if I'm going to add anything to the lineup. There's not a ton of great bats. If anything, I'd trade for a catcher, but none of them, again, are really jumping out to me as guys that can really help us. Maybe Jonah Heim and his framing ability, but he costs a bit to get from the Rays, and he's also under contract next year, I think, as well, but it's retained from the Rangers, and we almost traded for Heim to begin the year. Garver is another guy who isn't hitting as well as I'd like him to be to trade for him, but we'll look into it. Garver, Heim, and then look to trade Romero as our moves for the offseason. Stephen Kwan's having a great year with Toronto. I looked into him, but I can't get him. So, yeah, we'll trade away Romero, I think. Take Thomas White out of the rotation. He'll be a closer down the stretch or something. But the team's looking great right now. We also have Chris Malden down in the minors, who I think I'll give some run in September, but he's been struggling in AAA. The ratings are very good, though. That's what we've got. Check in on the standings here. We are the second best team in baseball. It's just the problem is the Twins are the best team in baseball. And it's not like we are that dissimilar here. We're actually better in the Pythagorean record than them. Kale Rosario having a really good year. Buxton's their best hitter by far. Other than that, they're kind of dire. The pitching's okay. But I think as the season goes on, we're gonna pass them up. They came out of the gates hot, whereas we came out cold. But I think we're a steadier team, and I think we're gonna win this division. The Orioles, our nemesis, pitching's bad, lineup's good. What's new? Um, Riley Green on the Dodgers, leading the league, and he just got traded to LA for a lot. Tommy Joseph, Chris Carruth, Orlando Gonzalez, Waylon Santana, and Moises Moreno. It looks like Tommy Joseph is the best prospect. What are the Tigers doing? The Tigers have made all these trades in this game. Their lineup their team just sucks. It's terrible, and I'm a Tigers fan. I hate it. But like, they have nobody of note. The farm system's dead. They're in a really rough spot. Do have Brock Porter, who is a Michigan native from Milford. Anyways, Oscar Colas leads in OPS behind, or just ahead of Riley Green, who's now no longer in the American League. Byron Buxton having that great season. How far away is he? He's hitting 262. He won't win the Triple Crown. Gavin Stone, 2.19 ERA. Very interesting. Anyways, that'll do it. I'll get back to you at the end of the year when we see if we can get her done and finally win a title for the South Side. See ya.